What's up, everyone? Welcome to the after show for Billions Season 4, where tonight we are talking about break-ins, confessions, and the circle of revenge. Stay tuned. It's all happening now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Let's let that buzz begin. Welcome back, ReGina.
Well, thank you, my dear.
Yeah, we missed you. What's up, everyone? Missed you guys, too, all this past week. How's it going? Welcome to the Billions Season 4 episode 11, which is titled Lamster tonight. I am your host, Nadine, Della, and with me is the lovely Miss ReGina Coles. Hello, Miss ReGina.
Well, hello, Miss Nadine.
Yeah, I heard you were sick last weekend.
Oh, yes, I was.
I'm sorry.
I caught that bug that's been going around in here.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than being sick on like a holiday weekend, too.
Know.
When everyone else is out
I
celebrating.
Had plans I had to cancel, but that's all good. I'm feeling better.
Well, I'm glad you were able to make it here tonight. We missed you.
I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah, and I'm sure obviously you watched last episode, which was intense.
Kevin was awesome. Thank you, Kevin, so much. I missed it next to you. Hello.
Yeah, we missed you too, Kev. So last week's episode was crazy, and this week's episode was even more intense. Give me in a sentence or two initial thoughts on the episode.
Initial thoughts. I'm so glad that Wendy is coming back to being Wendy. She's getting her groove back, as they say. And as far as Rebecca goes, ooh, girl, I thought you were smarter than that.
Yeah, Rebecca, there was a lot that happened this episode. I thought everything that went down with Wendy was going to go the complete opposite way. I felt like they didn't spend enough time on the trial. It was such a build-up to that.
It was quick.
And then they just kind of, they ended it immediately with a confession, which I get going in that direction, but I don't understand what the whole buildup was about it, if it was okay that she just ended up confessing. We'll dive into that. Thought it was a great episode. I feel like there was a lot of things that happened that are moving the needle forward, but there weren't a lot of, it was just another setup, but on a grander scale, is what I thought.
Yes.
I thought we were going to get some answers this episode. I mean, we did with Wendy and figuring out what was going to happen, and now that she confessed, but with a lot of other stuff, felt like
I thought
we're
we
still
got
gonna
some
wait.
answers though.
We got a little
Kinda,
bit, but more setup.
Indications of what's to come.
Yes, not answers though. The setup. Setup for sure.
Last
so
episode.
What did you guys think? I thank you guys for being in the chat. Apologize that we started a little bit late, but thank you guys for being in here and hanging with us. Saw Groove says, what an episode. Captain Osage, is that how you say Osage? I see you every week, so just tell me how to pronounce it. Saying that this episode was intense. So thank you guys for being here. Please let us know your thoughts and continue the chat with us as we are talking.
Definitely.
This entire time. We have some great predictions coming up, obviously, and some news, so stay tuned. But first, let's talk about the break-in. The break-in with Brian's interesting character of a brother. But I thought the most interesting part was he's trying to convince his brother to do this job. His brother's like, hey, no, I know when to say no to a job, and that's why basically I haven't gotten caught. Yeah. And Brian is pushing him because, as we know, Brian wants this. Brian is so gung-ho on revenge that Brian will do anything, even when his own brother is saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this job. But I thought it was interesting that the brother mentioned that, hey, you're not acting like yourself. This isn't you. Yeah. Did you find that interesting? Because if your own flesh and blood is saying that, it must be true, right?
He's the attorney general, and he's getting his brother, who is a known felon, to help him break into someone else's home illegally, break into the safe. So he's like,
he's doing everything.
Lowered the bar for himself.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Well, he's doing whatever he can to get back at Chuck.
But it's going to blow up in his face.
It definitely will. And what I think is definitely going to, we see them, obviously, they go in, they're able to take photos of the document that Brian really wanted to prove that Chuck is guilty and Chuck is in cahoots of, messing up with the law. But I really liked how the scene was, how they were in there and then Hall was coming up the stairs, and it was this kind of suspenseful moment in every suspense movie where my heart is beating and my face is getting flush and red. But then the cufflink situation. How is this? Let's do a quick prediction. How do we think the cufflinks are going to come into place?
Stolen property.
But is it?
He's going to miss it. He's going to know. First of all, I think I was waiting for them to come back to Hall. Hall to come back to Axe or Chuck and say,
with a report.
Hey, I went in there and it looked strange. The picture was real crooked where the safe was placed. So, I mean, that could be a tip-off. But Senior is definitely if you have cufflinks in a safe, they are very rare. Cufflinks.
Or they're valuable for sure.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But they were football cufflinks, from what I could tell. And so that holds some type of special memorabilia that he probably got from a Super Bowl or player or whatever. But he's going to miss those cufflinks and know immediately that someone broke into that safe.
Well, I think it's going to be that... it's going to be the thing that pins Brian to the break-in, that pins Brian to breaking every single rule possible to try and get Chuck arrested. So those cufflinks, guys, do not forget them. Those are important. It wasn't just a little thing that was stolen. No. It will come back next episode for sure. And the title of this episode was Lamster, like we said before. So just to tell you guys what Lamster is it's someone who is in hurried flight from the law. And that is what Jock referred to Senior as. That, how's our Lamster...
On the lam.
Yeah, how's the Lamster doing? Because he's running away from the law. And the reason he's running away is because we realized the bug was figured out.
Right.
And hilarious way, typical Rhoades Senior way, the bug was figured out. He's fooling around with his baby mama.
His baby mama, right.
Fooling around with his baby mama and is able to see that the place where they put the bug, the wood was not properly put back. He saw wood shavings and immediately knew what it was.
Yeah.
Also, if I saw that, I would have thought it was a mouse or something, just like biting at the wall or a bug. But, you know, when you're in that corrupt type of mindset, you know that it's a bug,
so
I guess.
I guess it paid off that they kind of rumbled onto the floor, you know, so to speak.
And so obviously Senior goes to Chuck's house and just freaks out. And then they realize that Chuck could possibly be bug too. So then they start writing down on paper and talking to each other. So I initially thought that him saying this out loud was like, oh, well, my place could be bug too, was so that Brian knew and that Jock knew.
Right.
Do we still think that they know what's going on and that there's something else up their sleeve in the typical Chuck fashion, that we see one road, but at the end of the day, it's Chuck knew all along and he's just playing them? Or how do we think that's going to go?
I don't think Chuck knew he was being bugged.
Okay.
Really, I don't. But I've always said that Kate was going to play into this whole scenario.
We'll get into Kate.
Okay,
for sure.
I don't want to jump ahead.
Yeah, but the bug situation.
Yeah,
do you think
the bug
that there's
situation.
anything? Do you think that they are playing a separate game that we don't see yet as viewers, that Chuck and Senior actually knew, or no?
No, they didn't know.
Okay.
They didn't know because he was petrified. He came over to his house 4 days in the morning.
Yeah.
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 He didn't know.
I don't know. I just have this, I don't know. You guys let me know what you guys think, but I have this other feeling because we've seen it in other seasons where we think something's happening and then all of a sudden Chuck had one up even on us and it was all a ploy and it was all a plot. And is this the big way to get Jock and Brian to do something bad and to get them and to drop charges against Chuck and his father?
It could be. The writers are so very clever, of course.
Seriously.
Yeah. But I think after Chuck sounded the alarm and called everybody up and had a meet over at the birthing center for Ira's baby coming into the world and everything, it seemed like it really caught him off guard, and he was trying to get a step ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll put fires out.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out for sure. So now Senior's on the run. Chuck doesn't want to know where he is. Brian tells Chuck what's going on with the surveillance. So now Brian and Jock are aware that they are made, basically. That so now it's time to move on Senior and hopefully get some info on Chuck. So because of this, Chuck now has a few important meetings he does throughout this episode. His first meeting is with Bobby. And he meets with Bobby to ask for another favor, basically to have Hall come and help get into the safe so that he can retrieve the document. But Bobby's response is the same that it was kind of the other time when Chuck asked for a favor was, hey, yeah, I got a guy. I can help you. But what the hell? Like, you haven't done or lived up to the promise you made me of putting Taylor in handcuffs. And is this ever going to happen? And there's always an excuse with you. So do we think that Bobby had the right to treat Chuck in that way and to say that? And do you think Chuck will ever actually pay up to that and put Taylor in jail?
I don't think Taylor will go to jail at all. And Bobby has showed us in this episode that regardless, he is not ready to stop and bury the hatchet. He said he brought, so to speak, Taylor into this world. He is taking her out. And I believe that he is going to do everything he can in his power to do that.
Well, Bobby will, but I say is, do you think Chuck is going to be the one to put Taylor in handcuffs? That's
No,
the whole thing. Is Bobby is asking Chuck to repay that favor that he had initially said he would do?
No, I think Bobby and Chuck's relationship is going to fall apart. I do. I see it. I mean, it's on thin ice. The way he talked to him and everything, and telling him that when you were after me, you had time to do this and that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Chuck definitely owes Bobby. So Chuck is smart. He's going to play the game as long as he can and skate around Bobby as long as he can. But Chuck is not stupid.
Yeah.
His first priority, like he told Bobby, is keeping me and my dad out of handcuffs.
Completely. And I think there's always something that gets in the way. But I do agree with Bobby. I think Bobby had every single right to say that to Chuck. They're in a deal
he
no
helped
matter.
him get elected.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he owes him, and he keeps skirting around the issue of getting, and I get because it's going to make, it's very difficult for Chuck to be able to do that, to put someone away in jail and all of that. And right now he's dealing with his own stuff. I get it. But I also understand Bobby's side of it. What I also understand is an amazing thing that you would like to say to some people.
Well, the amazing thing, of course, is our amazing fans and viewers. We just want to thank you so much for continuing to support us here at AfterBuzz TV. And we just want you guys to continue to support us. And please go on to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, go on to our YouTube channel, and please subscribe. And guys, we love seeing those thumbs up as well and your comments. So just keep them coming because we couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much for your continued support.
Thank you guys very much. And I'm reading the chat right now. You guys are going in on it. Appreciate it. Michael Lett said, just finished my watch. Did you see the little target painted on Axe's back during the final scene drinking on the balcony? It may be beautiful foreshadowing, and it may be that there's a target on his back in a sense that something is going to happen. That's a great catch. We'll dive into that when we discuss Bobby a little bit. Okay, now let's talk about this meeting, this second meeting that Chuck has. He had the first one with Bobby. Now the second one, he puts together his assembly of his A-team basically, and these are all the people that owe him a favor. Right. So now he's collecting his favors the same way he, Bobby was trying to collect the favor from Chuck. Chuck is now trying to collect it from let's see, it's Halloran, Brogan, Ira, and Eisen. So the goal of this meeting, which is at the hospital where Ira is having yet again another child with another wife. So the goal is to prove that Jock's hatred of blockchain voting is motivated by corruption. So the plan is to hit the biggest supplier of voting equipment, which is Bugle Trek, because they benefit the most from what Jock is doing. And so he gives little tasks out to everyone, which I loved. He's like, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. You're all going to report back to me, and we're all going to destroy Jock together. These people probably don't care what happens to Jock. They're just doing their one thing to help
they owe Chuck.
to repay the favor to Chuck. And basically the report was that Jock and Fisk, who's the CEO of that company, the voter company, they're in cahoots, but nothing that you can financially track. All it is that there is something there, but you have to actually count these votes. So what do you make of this A-team he assembled? What do you make of these people? We were actually able, a couple episodes ago, if you guys want to check it out, little plug, we interviewed Eisen on our show here. So that was great. He was awesome. I was happy to see him back. What did you make of that whole scene?
I thought it was great, but we knew that the day was coming because Chuck has helped each and every one of these guys out. Not in particular his lawyer, Eisen, but everyone else he helped out. Brogan was the guy with the gun situation early on.
They killed the dog, and then they made the joke with the horse.
Yeah.
That was so messed up.
Halloran was the guy that, with the train, I believe, and he sent to Aruba or someplace. But regardless of that, all of these people owed him a favor, and Chuck made it clear to them that the day will come when I'm going to collect, and you will not say no to me.
And they said yes.
And he said jump, and they said how high. And but the question is now, I don't think he can come back to them.
Well, I mean, maybe I think it's going to be
He's
the same game, the game
Yeah.
of like I do you, you do me, that type
Of course.
that type of favor. So
goes around.
now the next step is once he gets all this information from his squad, is he calls Kate to meet and to talk about Jock and to basically like ask her to open a DOJ investigation in order to prove that these raw vote totals are messed up, because he has intel now from his team that the next Senate seat in Texas is going to be rigged in the same way that the 2 governor seats were. And so this is the way to prove it, to prove that Jock is in cahoots with this company for the worse and against everything that he was elected to do. So interesting that Kate's there. Kate ends up agreeing to Chuck, to Chuck's kind of ask and request to open up this investigation. But then we see her telling Jock exactly what Chuck is up to, but while wearing that America pin. So my question to you is, whose team do we think Kate is on? And also, is the pin that she's wearing, do you think it's a surveillance pin, a video, or just voice? What are you thinking with that?
It's a bug.
There's so many bugs.
It's a bug.
Yeah,
and I've said early on that Kate was playing both sides. And so, but it's kind of strange to see her come when Chuck calls.
Yep.
And then she'll go right back and deliver whatever it is that Chuck has told her.
But
that's part of their plan.
Yeah, so do we think she's working for Chuck, or do you think she's actually working for Jock? What side is she on right now?
I think she has an allegiance to Chuck, because I really feel like she said Chuck taught her everything. And she knows Chuck, and I think she knows that Chuck will keep his promises to her, and he will help her build her career.
You think? Yeah, see, I think his line was like, hey, do you like the way that Brian's going right now? Look at the road that Brian's going down. He's using and she's like, stop selling me. I'm already on your side. But that's why the confusion comes in with the whole Jock thing. But why the heck else would he give her a pin if it wasn't for something to help him with? In the chat, you guys are saying that, remember, Kate's father is getting on the blockchain voting.
Gosh, that's right.
And that might influence her decision down the line.
That is true.
Kate may be playing both sides.
Yeah,
Guys. Ooh, Gavin Reagan says Kate's on Kate's team. I like that. And I think we've been seeing that. We've been seeing her kind of go through this moral questioning of who am I? Because she's always working for someone.
Right.
If now she's working for Brian, she was working for Chuck. She's now sitting in conversations with Jock. And all these men are kind of just going a little crazy and all dealing with revenge in their own way. And I think Kate is really the only one who's clearly there to try and do good and to do right in the world. And doesn't have any of this revenge ploy or plot inside of her. And so I agree. And I think the father is going to come into play, because they wouldn't have introduced him as a character into this whole blockchain voting a couple episodes ago if it wasn't for something.
But I think she's really torn, because remember, she told her dad when she visited with him that the air was thick to a point where she just couldn't breathe. And, so I think she's really torn about working with Brian and Jock. And then her allegiance in past with Chuck.
Well, yeah,
and trying to do, but I agree. Kate is on Kate's team.
Yeah, Kate is, and I think she's going to be the pivotal point of who's going to win this fight is going to be based off of what Kate does and Kate's decision. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that pin, but the cufflinks and so far the America pin are the two little things that may actually end up being the biggest parts of the finale next week. So now let's get on to Senior Rose. He's sitting in bed with his baby mama. He's hiding out and he's watching Broad City. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but that was the show that was on TV. And it's hilarious that he's watching it. And because the girls are always stoned in that. Anyway, shout out to Broad City if any of you guys are fans. Love that. So he's in there and it's the perfect setup for him to get caught by the FBI. They bust through the door and with help from his baby mama. So, I mean,
they
can't trust this woman. Tracked her card.
Yep. For the scholarship fund that he set up for the baby.
Exactly. So they weren't doing anything kind of really sneakily. He was trying to, but I mean, they got the hit on the throughway and that's how they were able to find him. So Jock and Senior finally meet, have their face-to-face, And Senior's just like really not giving Jock anything, especially when it comes to Chuck.
No way.
So did we ever think that Senior will turn on Chuck or ever would turn on Chuck to save his own butt? What do you think?
I don't think he would. I really don't.
You think he'll go down?
I think even though.
Yeah, I know it's a hard question. You would think normally as a mother, I'm sure,
it's
too.
It's like every week and seeing him do his little sexual escapades and
Well, because I'm asking, because as a parent, you would probably do anything, I'd assume, to protect your baby, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like I feel like he's more selfish for himself. I don't know if he would do everything to protect Chuck over himself.
He loses more if Chuck goes down. Mm-hmm. So I feel like Chuck knows where all his bodies are or buried or whatever. And I think he would take the fall. For Chuck, because I do think, in spite of his own selfish greed, that he really loves his son.
Yeah, I think in an interesting way. There's such an interesting dynamic. And what I thought was, was interesting, I keep using the word interesting, but there's a lot of interesting stuff, was how when Jock was talking with Senior and then going back into the room to talk with Brian to get more info, Jock didn't really know much of what was going on. Normally, you always see Jock being the one who knows it all and kind of doesn't need help or questioning.
In control.
Yeah, and you felt like Jock was just completely blindsided, out of control, didn't really know how to handle the situation because of how firm Senior was being and being like, hey, you don't have the idiot.
Right.
You don't even know his name.
Right.
So when you have the idiot, then we'll talk. Yeah, bring him out. And so I thought it was interesting to see Jock on his toes a little bit because we haven't seen that before.
And that means, too, that Brian is not on his toes.
I don't know, because
and he works for Jock. So if I were Jock, I'd be like, oh, I might need to get rid of you.
Yeah, and speaking of that whole relationship between Brian and Jock, Brian has surveillance that Chuck had his whole little A-team meeting, we'll call it, and tells Jock about this and was like, hey, so they're trying to look into some type of voter fraud that you're doing. So what's going on with that? And Jock refused to discuss it with Brian. Right. So what I found to be interesting was that Brian has to blindly defend Jock and is still going on this path to help Jock without even really knowing the truth of what's happening with Jock. And I think it's his revenge is fueling him. His revenge against Chuck is fueling him to just defend and back and be in association with a guy that normally his morals would tell him not to do.
Well, but the flip side to that may be that Brian, and with Kate's help, may find out that Jock definitely has his hands in some corrupt voting.
Well, I think Brian knows it, but Brian just doesn't care.
Well, but I'm saying he might take it and use it against him to save his own self.
Maybe later on, if he gets caught with the cufflinks.
Right.
Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat right here. The circumstances for Senior to betray Chuck exist, but these aren't it. I kind of agree with that, but you never know. You never know what that guy is going to do.
Right.
Adriel Hepburn says Chuck Sr. is about legacy, and his legacy would be ruined if Chuck Jr. goes down. Great point. That's true. Great point completely. We'll see I think next episode, I hope we get some answers to all of that of what's going to happen. Okay, so now on to someone whose morals got out of whack but are coming back into focus, Miss Wendy. Let's talk about this trial that was, I teased this earlier in the episode, earlier in our discussion, but they had built this up so much that there was going to be something so massive happening with this trial. They had a whole episode where all of Bobby's team was working on helping Wendy get out, how Chuck even made a deal to help Wendy. And I thought it was going to be this big, huge thing. And it comes to that it's like a minute worth of footage of Wendy just sitting there confessing and then just walking out. Did you like that, or did you want something else?
I expected it.
You expected her to confess?
Yes, because after she went to Taylor, Taylor told her, this is your chance to get back who you are. And for Taylor to let Wendy know, I won't show up. And Taylor was really very truthful with Wendy. And I really feel like Taylor's feeling for Wendy is very genuine.
Yeah.
And I think Wendy's was at one time, and she just lost her way. But when Taylor told her that, I think it really resonated with Wendy that Taylor was being the bigger, excuse me, guys, they was being a bigger person and saying, I don't want to take away your medical license. You know, you did this to yourself, but get back to who you are. And so I think she decided, yes, I do need to get back to who I am and own up to what I did. Otherwise, I don't think Wendy, and I've said this all along with Wendy losing herself, that how long is she going to live with herself being this kind of Wendy? Because that's not really the Wendy that we know and love and who she was. And so I think the guilt was just consuming her so bad.
Yeah.
She had to set herself free, and I'm so glad she did.
Yep, she definitely set herself free. It was not something I predicted. I thought that Taylor was actually going to end up showing up. I thought it was going to be at least half of the episode was going to be involved with this hearing because of how they built it up. So I was just a little disappointed with that. I thought Taylor was going to make their strike a little bit here with the Wendy hearing. That didn't happen. My prediction was wrong on that.
No.
I thought that Taylor was going to, when Taylor said the one thing to Wendy, I thought was going to take it back. What did you guys think about that? Did you guys think that that's how it was going to play out? But as we see, Taylor is just kind of sick of this war.
But then the other thing, too, remember, they told Taylor that if you go before their board, they're going to uncover everything in your personal life.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that? Are you ready for Taylor Mason Capital to take a hit? So I think she thought about what she had to lose, or they had to lose as well. But in the end, wanted to really make Wendy see.
Yeah, and Wendy saw.
Make her see.
Wendy saw, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like how that was all played out. I don't know. I kind of wanted something bigger there to happen. So we find out that Wendy is facing being suspended for up to 3 years of her medical license. And she said, like you have been talking about, all this pain and guilt inside her, that all she could do was basically throw it up. And it threw it up at this hearing. So Wendy walks into XCAP, and it's a cool scene because she walks in not knowing how people are going to react to her, but everyone's kind of smiling at her. Then keeps the door open and just kind of looks around like, hey, are people still going to come in or not? And then we see Mr. Spiros, and Spiros is like, becomes a little bit of a sweetheart, but in his own way. He comes in and tries to pretend there's an issue so Wendy feels like she's important and wanted, and then Wendy kicks him out. I like that. I like seeing that side of him. I thought that was very sweet. I think it shows that he actually has a little bit of a heart. So I really liked that. And then Wags was amazing this episode. Wags with Wendy, he was very sweet. He was there waiting outside the courtroom with her, saying that this changes nothing, that everyone in XCAP is still messed up, still needs her guidance, that she's always, no matter if you have a license or not, it doesn't matter. Like we've been saying, like it doesn't matter if she had a license or not. Bobby's not going to fire her about it. And when Taylor hears the news that Wendy confessed, her team wants to celebrate and sing like the witch is dead. And Taylor says, we don't celebrate, we move forward. Wendy did the right thing.
She did.
So did Taylor truly think that the words that they said to Wendy resonated that hard? And do you really think that Taylor's like getting done with this whole war and issue with Wendy and especially with Axe?
She said she wanted to.
Yeah.
She said
Do
she
we
was
believe
tired
it?
of it. Yeah, I really believe her. I believe she definitely wants to be done with it all. It's a grind. Like we've been talking about this the whole season.
Grind.
It's a grind because I've even questioned, and I said to you, how far are the writers going to go with this? They keep upping it to a point, well, I mean, it's going to get to a point where somebody gets hurt, or what are they going to do?
Yep.
So the thing about Taylor, I do think she wants to move on and let bygones be bygones. But the other thing I wanted to add with Wendy is by Wendy confessing, she slowly wins her respect back.
From who? From Taylor or
from everybody.
Oh, instead of fighting it.
Yeah, if you go in and you lie about it.
Yeah.
That your integrity is further shot. Now they can look at her and say, she corrected her. She tried.
She owned it.
Yeah, she owned it.
She owned it.
She tried to correct it. And so now I can respect a person like that.
Yeah.
But if you go in and you pretend like, oh, No.
You mean do what everyone else in the show does?
Do what everybody, what she was told she should do
Mm-hmm.
to keep her medical license.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got to live with yourself. And Wendy knew that.
Yeah, and Wendy is trying to get back to herself, and so hopefully it works. Hopefully we see it. But yeah, I think my favorite was the whole Wags and Wendy and them getting drunk at the end of the episode together. I mean, Wags is the guy to go and get your head out of the gutter, kind of in a sense.
It's a nice place to sit down and have a nice drink.
Oh, it's gorgeous there. I mean, it's billions, ReGina.
Yeah, right.
Of course, we'll go have a
Looked
drink
like
there.
some good scotch.
Looked awesome. What are you guys saying here in the chat real quick? Gavin Reagan says, any chance Wag and Wendy wake up in a hotel room in the next episode after getting properly drunk? No way. I think they're like a brother-sister relationship.
Oh my God, I hope not.
That would be a twist, and you never know with billions what's to happen, but
Not
I can
that.
pretty much say that that's probably not.
No.
All right, now let's get on over to Bobby's world. So Wags brings the news. So basically, Bobby and Rebecca are trying to still figure out this whole sailor situation and everything that's intertwined with Taylor. So they're trying to find a new company to help them out with their appliances, a seller of their appliances, and the one company they were going to use, they can't use anymore because they're involved with child labor, slave labor, which is just crazy, of course. So Taylor had discovered this. So Taylor's using this ammo to screw over Axe and Rebecca. And it's this whole back and forth ping pong match, as we know, has been happening. But because of this, Rebecca asked Bobby, hey, why don't you just buy it? Why don't you just spend, not $1 million,
That was
not
a
100
lot.
million, not $1 billion.
Yeah.
A couple
$5
billion,
billion, right? $5 billion or so?
$1 billion
Yeah.
to save me. And he's like, hey, I didn't think you wanted to be the damsel in distress. I thought that you were like this strong, independent woman.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, I was until I got to know you. You tied me to these tracks. I
Yeah.
love the metaphors they use there. But basically saying that, like, you got me into this situation.
In a booby trap.
I was fine going around and helping, like, buying companies, doing well. I had no issues. And since I've gotten into business with you, I've had an issue every single step of the way.
More than business.
And which is crazy. So my question to you, so Bobby takes it on. Bobby is starting to liquidate his own, like, the biggest clients that he's having right now at XCAP, starting to liquidate it. Everyone's like, wait, what the heck is going on? What's happening here? And I wonder, is Bobby actually doing this for Rebecca, or is Bobby doing this for revenge of Taylor mostly? Because if Bobby can beat Taylor at this, then it's his, he can destroy Taylor. But it looks like he's doing it for Rebecca.
It's more for his revenge for Taylor.
Right? That's what I think too.
Of course.
I think everyone is saying that it's all because of his love, and like Wags is saying, oh, you're pee-whipped, and like basically this woman is controlling you. But I don't think that's it, and I think that's why
It's
Bobby's
his
not budging.
Revenge of Taylor.
Yeah.
And we, of course, find that out towards the end of the episode.
Oh yeah, we definitely, and we see the anger in it. Because also we never see Bobby really let personal stuff interfere with his business. AxeCap is his heart and soul. He'll do anything to make sure that that company is thriving and do his best to not let anything get in the way of that. So this is the first time we're really seeing that.
Even rewriting his bylaws.
Yeah, literally. So there's this intervention that happens, and they're all staring there. It's like Spiros, Oren, Wags, Ben Kim, Victor, Dollar Bill. There's just a long line of guys standing there.
Yeah.
And normally we never see Wags a part of that line. We always see Wags on Bobby's side being like, go back to work. What the heck are you guys doing? But when Wags goes and stands in that line, it's like a little bit serious. It's like, whoa. But Bobby's not thinking like that because Bobby is blinded by this whole revenge thing.
Yeah.
Still. And, but typical Bobby, I love this line. He goes, I am the sun that warms you, and you can leave if you don't like it. Like, get out of here. You go do your job, do your job, or no one's going to have a job pretty much.
But you know what? He's lucky that he's got people that work for him that
care.
Yeah. Well, it's their behinds too, but still, for him to just blindly not even think about liquidating really good stock that's making him money, that's
millions
a cushion,
of dollars. Yeah,
and just willing to cash it in for this vendetta. It was about Taylor, not Rebecca.
Yeah.
No.
I agree. I think that they had every right to go in there. I think they had every right to talk to him. They have to. They have to bring him to light. And obviously that doesn't work. So Wags has Wendy go up there and talk to Bobby like, hey, you need to help this guy. You're the only one who can. And he doesn't listen to Wendy even. And Wendy leaves that conversation thinking like, hey, is he not taking my advice because of my medical license is now gone, kind of? And Bobby's like, hey, there's nothing to do with that. It's just I'm not taking your advice. But do we really think that it's changed in Bobby's mind because she admitted guilt? She did what he wouldn't do. He was even saying that they're built in different ways.
Yeah, because she told him, she said, you need to why don't you just shut this thing down with Taylor?
Yeah, but with Wendy's confession, I think that maybe in his eyes, he's looking at her a little bit differently now because she handled it in a way that he never would have.
She gave in to Taylor.
Yeah. Well, into her own self.
Yeah. But she took an oath as a doctor. She went to medical school. And you go through medical school pretty much 12 years.
Yeah.
Before you really become a doctor. I mean, so she has to take that seriously because being a doctor, Dr. Wendy Rhoades is her life. That's her whole persona.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, of course she takes it seriously, but I think Bobby now has maybe, and I think we saw it there a little bit, but I think he's not treating her differently that he treated Oren or Wags. He's saying no to all of them, like, hey, I'm figuring this out on my own. But I do think there's something there a little bit where now he's like, I wouldn't have done that. I spent all this time helping you and you just went in and did that.
You went in and you folded with Taylor.
Something like that. So, and then we find out that Rebecca now comes into his office after he's literally fought every single person on his team to be like, hey, no, I'm sticking by Rebecca. I'm doing this. I don't care what you guys think. And Rebecca says that she cut a deal with Taylor.
Ooh.
And this is where Bobby says that
kiss of death.
That he's the one that brought Taylor into this world and he needs to be the one to take them out. And Bobby is upset. Bobby's like, how the heck
wouldn't you be?
Could you let them off the hook? How could you do this? And I see both sides. I see that Rebecca was literally looking at Bobby like, how the heck am I going to ask someone to pay $6 billion?
She should have consulted him first.
Yeah, how am I going to let someone pay $6 billion for this? I can do this, and I made a deal the same way I make deals with everyone else, and I still have the upper hand. But you were saying before that you think this is going to affect their relationship?
It would affect it if I were Bobby because that's his arch enemy.
Yeah.
No, you don't cut any deal with my arch enemy, especially after I stuck my neck out for you to save you and liquidate my cash, made myself look like a fool with my people calling me P-whipped.
Yep.
Because I'm helping you.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that she did it.
Situation.
I am happy she did it. And she said, right now you're not going to see it, but this is to benefit literally everyone.
I just don't like how she did it.
She should have said to him, but he would have never agreed to it, though.
Yeah, but at least she has her own mind.
Yeah.
She should have said, look, Bobby, you might not like it, but this is the way it's going to to be.
Yeah, well, she's the one who makes that decision. Yeah. It's her company.
Well, not anymore. For now.
Yeah, well,
for a quick minute.
Yep, it's hers, and I think it was. I think it needed to happen, and I think that Bobby will appreciate it later on. But we see Victor now comes to Bobby, says that he found something basically help him get out of the doghouse. We don't know what this info is. Basically says that sailors always had too much toxic debt, and there was no place they could really put it until now. And Wags' response is what makes me like a little scared to all of this, because Wags says basically that the collateral damage and the lives that will be affected, all to have final revenge on Taylor, and is it really worth it? And Bobby's response is, if I'm not, like, are you ready for that? And Bobby says, if I'm not, why am I still wearing my armor? And so it's like, what is coming? Who's going to be affected that he knows, that he loves, that he's going to stomp on in order to kill and destroy Taylor? So who do we, I guess we can get into predictions a little bit, but like, who do we think that he's going to hurt with this? What do we think of this? In my opinion, I think this is all going to go into Rebecca's company. I think the person that's going to be screwed out of this is Rebecca.
Of course.
And I think that because he's hurt Taylor about what had happened, but I think that's who they're mentioning when they talk about who's going to be hurt. What do you think? Who do you think it's going to be?
She's toast.
You think it's
Rebecca is toast.
So you think it's Rebecca that Victor is referring to?
But the thing about it is now pretty much, she's going to be in the same boat as Taylor with Bobby.
Yeah, well, that's, I don't know. That's strong.
Maybe she and Taylor, I said early on, prediction that when she told Bobby that she thought Taylor was brilliant, I said, oh, okay. She's going to jump into some type of deal with Taylor. And lo and behold, she did and went behind his back to do it.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with that. And then we're really close to wrapping, and then going on to Taylor's world, what happened. There was a lot to cover this episode, guys. Sorry if we don't get to everything. As we talked about, Taylor says that they just want this war to be over. Hope that now that Bobby's girlfriend's company is safe. I think we believe them on that, possibly. We'll have to see what happens. The whole thing that's happening over in Taylor's world is that once it's comp time, so wants everyone to keep their money in the company for another 12 months, but everyone has the right to take it out right now if they want. So everyone keeps it in, but Lauren. And Lauren takes it out and wants it out. Says that, well, if they break up, that she just wants to leave the company if anything ever happens. So that's why she wants her money now. But what we're thinking is maybe she's a double agent.
Yeah, I've been thinking that. I've been thinking it.
Do you think that's a thing?
Come on, writers.
I don't know what you guys think. Maybe we're getting
Make
too
my
soon into
prediction true.
But I don't know.
Oh, God, that would be a shocker, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there may be something bigger there because Lauren's the only one who wanted to take her money out. Let's get quickly into predictions.
You just said it.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
So give me like 2 predictions because we got to wrap. 2 quick ones.
Rebecca is toast with Bobby. That relationship is down the drain.
1.
And Lauren, I think you're a double agent.
Woo!
Prove me
2.
wrong. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, I think Bobby's actually going to hurt and do whatever it was that Victor had said. I think he is going to go with it. He's not going to care. And I think it's Rebecca that he's going to hurt. I think his team is going to try and stop him again, but it's not going to work. And I think on the Brian, Jock Connery side, I think with Chuck and Senior have another whole plan that we don't know yet, and it's actually going to come and backfire on Jock and Brian.
Great.
Woo, guys, that was a lot to chat about. Thank you so
prediction.
much for watching and hanging with us tonight. I know we didn't get to cover a lot of the details, so please comment throughout the week and let us know anything else you guys want to chat and talk about.
Yep.
Always reading the comments, always looking at them. Thank you
We'll
guys
be
for
on
being in
YouTube.
chat tonight as well. Please, if you guys like this, give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Give us a like. You guys can find me everywhere to continue the discussion this week at Nadine, Della, Pelle. ReGina, where can they find you?
At ReGina Coles, Instagram, guys.
At ReGina Coles. Next week is the season finale. Please come prepared.
Yes.
Because it's all going to go down and we'll review it here at
It's gonna
AfterBuzz.
be juicy.
Yeah, see you next week, guys.
Bye, guys.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.